I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, degenerate sleuths of the night. We gather to boldly go where others have refused. Welcome to the DT show, you salty mofos.
A man accused of killing 4 college students is behind bars, and he has ties to northeastern and central Pennsylvania. State police say 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger was arrested this morning in a home in Chestnut Hill Township.
I can't find any case law that would support that idea. That somehow a warrant would be needed for DNA left at a crime scene.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
So, the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
So, get your popcorn ready and your choice of drink. Get your butt on your seat. Like, comment, and subscribe for a treat. Here we go. It's time for the show. The Drunk Turkey Show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT show. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. I hope you guys watched the video earlier. If you didn't catch it, I talked about some of the breaking news that was in the articles. We're going to kind of cover some of it, not all of it in depth. So I highly recommend going and watching that after today's show, but you don't need to watch one without the other. But we're going to break down some of the things that came out, and we're going to have a great guest. Let's bring her on, Dr. Jamie Bona. How's it going, doctor?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. For those that are new to the channel, please tell us a little bit about your background.
So that's a great question. So I've been teaching. I'm a professor of psychology at a university. I just got my schedule today, you guys. I have 10 courses. But anyway, I've been teaching for over 20 years. I teach everything from abnormal psych to all of the things, research methods, statistics. I do them all in psychology. And then, excuse me, I'm also a research psychologist. So I do research as well. My research is on identity development and how social media, or just media in general, affects that.
Nice. Very, very in the know, so to speak. And to be honest with you, for those that have been watching the channel, you've been compared to some of the better known true crime psychologists that are out there. So I just want to let you know that you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job on your YouTube channel. For the guys, if you guys, you're welcome. For the guys, if you haven't followed her, it's in the description. It's the Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona. And make sure you guys go and subscribe. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Let's talk about it. So there was a lot of things that were broken down in this new Idaho Statesman article. This is the Inside the Search for Bryan Kohberger, consumed by 4 murders. Idaho police never stop. And what I wanted to do is I read through it. If you guys want to listen through most of it, I didn't go through all of it. I just kind of read the highlighted parts. You guys can go through there and go check out the video I made earlier. Today, we're just going to talk about some of the highlights of it. First thing that pops up here is the tips of K-bar knives are known to break off when used in combat. Gilbertson said, that didn't happen in this attack. No parts of the murder weapon have ever been recovered. Now, I don't know how many times, like I'm assuming the more persons that are involved, the more likely a tip is going to break. There are some that believe that the K-bar knife sheath left behind may have been a calling card, or, as Bryan Kohberger wrote in his actual essay about the crime scene scenarios, that sometimes an offender will leave something behind to try to throw off the case. Do you think that it is possible, or what are your thoughts on the fact that maybe perhaps the K-bar knife sheath was left behind as a red herring, and he actually used a knife of some greater quality that didn't break the tip?
So I think he used a K-bar, because I think that they did more than just identify it by the sheath, right? Didn't they like identify it too by some of the wounds and stuff like that? And they were able to tell that it was like a double edge on the top, and then it's single edge as it goes on. And then they even got as far as he was like very forceful. Some of the victims had the guard from the end of it imprinted. Like, so think about how, how much force you have to be using for that to happen. So I still think it was a K-bar. However, I have questioned, and let me tell you why. If you weren't going to leave a knife sheath behind, would you worry about the DNA on the inside?
No, I understand that. And I completely get that. And that's one of the things.
And I'm not saying I'm convinced. I'm just saying, like, if I think that way, I'm trying to think in both ways.
To me, I think it was a K-bar. I said it earlier. Yes. I was like, he bought one off of Amazon. It's missing. I just think that maybe perhaps he knew where to strike. And, he did a lot of studying, and we're going to find that out in the second article that we go over about how much studying he did into other serial offenders who committed murders, serial killers who committed several murders, and some of the similarities of some of the things that he was looking into, especially with Danny Rolling. It's quite interesting. So, but, I do know that there are some that think that maybe perhaps it was left behind on purpose. Me personally, I don't think that was the case. He didn't touch things more than once, and he was very conscientious of not contaminating a scene. And one of the biggest parts of not contaminating a scene is you're not leaving something behind. And it goes against everything to leave an item like that behind. So I don't think that was the case, but I wanted to get your opinion.
That makes total sense. I think I could go either way with whether, I don't know that we would even know, like, even if he told us if he was planning to leave it or not, but I definitely think it was the K-bar, because like you said, they were able to, he got it on a gift card. So, it was very suspicious, once they found all of the receipts and stuff for it. So I do think it was the K-bar. I don't know either way about the sheath. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it was left on
purpose.
Put
in the comments
I think
what you guys think. There you go.
Yeah, let us know in the comments section. Let us know in the comments for sure. To me, I don't even think he realized he left it. I was thinking about it. It would have been one of the first thing he did, obviously, right? Is unsheath the knife. I think with everything that went on, the fact that there was two people in the bed, somebody waking up, Kaylee waking up, and the ferocity that he used against her, the anger, the whatever it was that he had instilled in him came out. I think it's quite possible he forgot it. And I don't think he ever realized, to be honest with you. And the reason is because of his searches on Amazon. If his searches stop when he goes over to Pennsylvania, and what happens when he's on his way to Pennsylvania? He gets pulled over twice in Indiana, and there's a bolo that just happened about the white Elantra. And when he's talking about his interrogation, he mentions another moment where police came up behind him, lit him up, and then turned around or left the scene. And he thought it was weird. It was on his mind. In this article, or in the one before this, or the one next to this one, we're going to find out that he was pretty paranoid and things were going on around that time. And I think he was probably spotting the FBI watching and probably noticing, probably noticing some cars parked in some unfamiliar places where they're not supposed to. You know what I'm saying?
And even cars that were probably not suspicious, he thought were suspicious because of, his thought process and what he did. And
Right, exactly. And obviously guilty conscience and things of that nature as well. But because of those things, the fact he was searching for it, I feel like he didn't think that, I don't know, I think maybe he didn't even know he left it behind.
like, how? Right? Think about it though, right? I agree with you. He probably didn't, but how, like, he did all of these things and remembered all of this stuff, and he leaves the knife sheath. Like, it's just like, what the heck? What a dumb criminal.
Yeah. And I know some, they're saying that's why he goes back. Well, he's not seen on camera. That's one of the other things that comes out, and we're going to go over it a little bit later, but we'll talk about it now. They look at the camera from the 1112 King Road residence between 912 and 921 when he went back, and his car's not seen in the area.
I always thought that if he went back, that it would be more to see, like, what was happening and to see if the cops were there or things like that. So I never thought, in my opinion, that he went back for the knife sheath. However, you have to remember he was in a frenzy and stuff like that. So he probably, a lot of times you account for so many things that you don't account for natural human behavior.
Now, he left all the doors open. Do you think that if he knew he left something behind as important as the knife sheath, something that maybe he didn't clean to, the standard, do you think he would have made entry into that house?
If he knew that he didn't have the knife sheath, like in the beginning?
Like if he knew on November 13th at 9:12 a.m. when he's going back to that address on Moscow. Now, remember, he also had downloaded Broadcastify, in which broadcasted the 911 audio or 911 dispatch for Whitcomb 911, which handled both Pullman and Moscow Police Department. So he knew the crime scene hadn't been discovered.
But he didn't have his phone on at that time.
Right. No, what I'm saying is,
he would know if
at 9:12.
I got
it. At 9:12, when he's back in that area, if he knew he didn't have the knife sheath, if he knew he forgot it at that moment, don't you think he would have gone back in to get it? Especially if this wasn't an item he intended on leaving behind, maybe something that he didn't clean very well.
So before I would have said no, but I think yes, because of all the things that we're hearing and how much he might have gone into people's houses before this happened. So this might have been his first, attack, but this isn't his first time going into someone's house when he's not invited, right? So he stole the friend's mom's iPad. Like, there was just many things. So I do agree with you. I think that if it was for the knife sheath, I think he would have went in because there was nobody there yet. And like you said, he was just listening at home, maybe to the, or maybe he got, I don't know. Daniel, that's crazy.
Well, it was on his phone. His phone was on at that moment. His phone is on for them to be able to track him. So yeah, I would suspect he's listening to dispatch at that moment. I don't think he knew. I think that there's an extended amount of time between the time that he leaves the victim's residence and the time that his phone turns on. It's 28 minutes, and he only travels about 9 miles. And his phone is dark. And then the next day, his phone is dark again when he goes into that area for an extended period of time. I think that he hid it. I don't think he went through it as much as we may think he did. Mainly because he's conscientious of DNA. So if he goes through the kill kit, then there's an opportunity for him to transfer the DNA that he's going through when he gets into his car. So I think at the very least, he's carefully just transporting it from one place to another where he can dispose of it. My assumption is that he buried it. That's where I think.
It's all buried.
Huh?
For sure, I think it's all buried. I never thought that he threw it like into a body of water. With his personality, I feel like he's the type of person that if he did get away with this, he would have went back there, in the middle of the night or whatever, just to relive that experience.
Yeah, I don't think so. To me, it's all about control. And I said this earlier in my other video. I said it's about control with Bryan Kohberger. And if he throws something into the river, he's just lost control of it.
That's 100% right. I'm glad that you brought that up because I didn't think of it in that aspect. And you're 1,000% right. And what have we always said, both of us? It's about identity and control. He didn't have that identity, which is why he wanted to seek it out in all these other serial killers and try to make them part of him and then attaching himself to these victims now for the rest of his life. So I always thought that it was about power and identity as well on a psychological level.
Yeah, exactly. And he studied people, serial killers, and one of them being apparently Israel Keys. Israel Keys is a guy that buried his weapons, And, I got to thinking, I was like, all right, well, he was searching for a replacement knife. And I thought maybe that meant that it was broken, which obviously doesn't sound like that to be the case now, or it was inaccessible. And then I started thinking to myself, well, if this guy was studying a bunch of different serial killers and stuff, and he was trying to figure out where they got things right, where they got things wrong, one of the things he probably understands and knows is that one of the things that allows serial killers to remain free or undetected is the lack of knowledge between the departments of an offender committing a serial offender committing the same crime in multiple jurisdictions. And once they can kind of put those two dots together, once these departments start getting together, then they can kind of narrow down things like, all right, well, who's been in this area on these days? And you can start going down that process of deduction.
1,000%. Growing up in Philadelphia and right by Camden, people did this all the time. So that absolutely happens.
Yeah. And so I think that he wouldn't go back and use a similar knife, because if he did, or the same knife, I apologize. He didn't, if he did, and let's just say one of the victims' DNA ends up at the next house, well, then now you got yourself two departments. And then if it's in different jurisdictions or whatever the case may be, now they can kind of narrow in, all right, who's been there and who's been here. And it can get narrowed down. So I think that may be a reason why he was looking for a replacement. But I think that he stopped looking when he thought they were onto him. And that tells me that I feel like he didn't know. I don't think he knew he left the knife sheath behind.
Well, it also shows how paranoid he gets, right? Because he starts to think, I need to replace the knife so that if they come here, I could say, look, here's my knife. What are you talking about? And then at the same time, he's like, but if I replace my knife and they're on to me, that it's going to make me look worse. And so it just shows how after a while, he even started second guessing himself, which he would probably never admit. But
I think that happened after the bolo, after the vehicle came out, because before that, he was cheery. He was charming. Remember,
that was crazy.
He had his hair cut. He was acting normal. He was charming at his doctor's appointment. And then when asked at the DMV about the murders, he's like, horrific, ain't it? And it's crazy that there's somebody out there that's still among us, like really into it almost. And then the bolo comes out. He gets into a fight with his professor, moves across country. He's acting paranoid, stops searching for knives. Just kind of.
And then getting pulled over, he thought like that wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah. No way he could have thought that was a coincidence. Mm-mm. No way. Now, let's see.
No, okay. Because if he did think it was a coincidence, then he wouldn't spend all that time when he was at home, like taking apart the car and cleaning it and stuff like that. So he clearly didn't feel like he was in the clear type thing.
True story. This goes on to say, on December 27th, investigators waited for their chance to take the trash from the Cobberger home. They'd been surveilling him since the 20th. The next day matched the discarded Q-tip from the father of the single-sourced male DNA found at the crime scene in Moscow. Payne filed for an arrest warrant, and Gilbertson made plans. They flew out immediately, and they were out there. And I remember when I told you about, when you asked me last time about this picture, why would they have taken it? I was like, they probably wanted to identify him.
You said
the documents. Yeah, the document said that the two investigators were about 30 minutes away watching a live feed. And my thoughts are this is a screenshot from that live feed. They identified him, screenshot it, and send this picture to the chief and captains and the brass there at Moscow. That's my guess, my speculation.
Good call,
but
Daniel.
I'm pretty sure
you got that right.
You
got that right the first time. So good call. You said that right away. I literally asked you the day that it was put out, and that was your answer. So that was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's I have a power of deduction. Let's see.
But I have a power of deduction too, but I think psychologically, and you think more like as far as like the cop stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This goes on to say at 2 a.m. on December 30th, 2022, Payne and Gilbertson sat across from the man they'd been after for 7 weeks. For the next 45 minutes, they interviewed Cobberger. That's a long time to do small talk. 45 minutes.
It sure is.
Based on guidelines from FBI's behavioral analysis unit, Payne told reporters they tried to keep it pretty surface level to get him comfortable and speaking. He asked them several times to make sure his parents and their dog were okay. Police assured him they were. Cobberger was advised of his Miranda rights, and he could choose to remain silent. The three made small talk. Cobberger had applied only to WSU and the University of California Irvine's criminal justice doctoral programs. He said because neither required a graduate entrance exam. Why do you think that's important to him? Is that entrance exam
he doesn't
difficult?
Want to fail. He doesn't want to fail. Could you imagine if he like applied somewhere and they said no?
I'm not familiar with the University of California Irvine's criminal justice doctoral program. Is that like a larger university as well?
I don't think I don't know exactly, but people could look. So there's a Carnegie classification system. So if you look up like Carnegie classification and then you put in the university or the college, they'll give you the rating for that particular university or college. So like I went to Rowan University, which was, think of it like sports. We were an R1, R2 research institution, meaning that we were producing a lot of research, where sometimes it's more like 4 or 5. But again, I'm a nerd. So for me, I was excited that we were Carnegie classified like that. But if anybody wants to look it up, you could look it up and it will tell you.
Interesting. So with that, folks saying it's a bigger university.
I don't know if that makes it better though.
Yeah, true. That's true. It could just be the size of it. Could be doesn't necessarily mean better. You're absolutely right. Text messages obtained through subpoena showed that WSU professors discussed Cobberger's interactions with female students. In one thread, a professor told the group they should consider performing an intervention on Cobberger after he offended several women. What do you think about that he was offensive to women?
Well, I didn't know what was better, like that or the fact that a woman was going to try to reprimand him for that. He's definitely, in my opinion, a misogynist. So the fact that so I think that he would have just like been like, okay, whatever. But I think that it's just creepy. He was creepy. He had that like schizoid, that like, I don't know. It's like a schizoid type where he is very like rigid and stuff. And it's that awkwardness. It's that, for me, it's not autism. It's that it has more traits of that
personality.
So, yes, it's personality. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for, Daniel. I think it's just part of his personality.
Understood.
He's just weird, I think, to people, and people pick up on that.
Well, I mean, he did tell some of his other male counterparts that parts that he believed in, like traditional relationship roles, and that women were wasting their time in college.
Which is why this teacher reprimanding him makes no sense. But how would she know? Like, she's not to know that at that moment.
Right. It says Cobberger planned to work as a teaching assistant next semester. He told Payne and Gilbertson, but according to the university, a report, the university terminated his position, and he also lost his funding for his PhD program. Now, this goes on a little bit later on, but we find out what page 118 is. Page 118 is from the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. They don't necessarily know what exactly was underlined, but I'm going to read what I think was underlined. Getting back to my earlier example, if the outcome of your choosing to move to a new job is for you to lose that job within a few months, you now see how you will have to have the opportunity to strengthen your self-esteem by facing the storm, regrouping your inner forces, reaching out once again to find a new, perhaps more satisfying position. I mean, that's basically what happened. He moved, and within a few months, he lost his job.
But how crazy is it that we were all like, not we all, but like people in psychology and stuff, we were all like, oh, it's going to be Bundy or it's Elliot. Like everybody's fighting over that, and here it's a self-help book. I was like,
it is a self-help book, but you know, what do you think it means? Does this say anything to you?
Yeah,
it is a self-help. What does it say to you?
It says a lot to me because I don't know. Do you have that picture I sent you? Because it's on there. I don't know if you want to just show it, but it literally, I'm trying to look for it in my on my iPad, but I don't know if, oh wait, I have it right here too. But I don't know if people want to see it. I could always show it after we're done our live. I could go on mine and show it. But I'm just thinking, so there were different parts. There were different themes, I thought, of this page. I took a total nerd approach to this. So I think that part of it was it reflects his cognitive reframing. So seeing every situation as a winnable because he doesn't like to fail. So by cognitive reframing would be like looking at your childhood, for example, and reframing why you did something that you're ashamed of. Now that you're adult, and you reframe it so that you can get through that, right? So I think that was happening. I think he may have interpreted adversity as proof of superiority rather than something to avoid. So I think that was a big one. So that was about losing a job. And then narcissistic traits I put could twist this into believing he is stronger and more capable than others, which we all know, right? He's smarter than us. He's better than all of us in his head, not ours. Possible self-image as a warrior type figure who thrives in chaos. I think that too. I think it aligns with grandiosity, believing he can turn any outcome into a personal win. And then on the last one, could have emboldened him to take greater risks, believing he could handle consequences. So if anybody's interested in this, I could always put it in a post in my on my page, and you guys are more than welcome to it. It's just my opinion. It's not,
Here's my question for you.
Go ahead.
What about the thoughts of something's happening to him and he has to research it? Like he's like a robot. He doesn't know what to do, and he has to research everything. I mean, I think everything that he's done when it comes to this case has been from pieces and parts and pieces from other serial killers. And one main reason title of the show is a copycat.
And a lack of identity.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Lack of identity and his need for control. I think those two things just keep coming back to the forefront. And with control, like even masculinity, like you were saying, how he didn't even think that women should get degrees and stuff. Like, so that just says a lot about a person too, right?
It does. It does. I want to say welcome to Stillwell Sports History. Thank you. We have Taryn also being a U.S. member. Thank you, Didi Fuentes, for your 99-cent super sticker. Midwest gifting 1 Drunk Turkey Show membership. Barbara Hall, what's going on, Barbara? I hope you're doing well. U.S. member. If you guys haven't checked out the Timothy D's live that I had yesterday, please go watch it. Support Miss Hall and her search for justice for her son. We'd appreciate it. And yes, it was. Stephanie comes in with $5. Dr. Vona is giving me Spice Girls and Wednesday Adam vibes tonight, and I'm so here for it. Insert snapping fingers.
My kids tell me that I give Wednesday vibes often. I'm like, so wait till the winter comes. I have a lot of them that my kids call me Wednesday for.
Oh, wow. Crotchy comes in saying that they were recently found out that they were stationed at the same army base as Israel Keys. That's insane. Jaime actually, when he was younger, may have came in contact, him and his dad, with Tommy Lynn Sells.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we have C. Joy. Just a thought, since the trash never showed BK's DNA, did parents have a working fireplace? Could he have burned the trash? That's the other thing too. So they didn't find his trash, but they said that it was a lie, that he wasn't out there putting his trash in neighbors' bins. Where the hell was he putting it?
In baggies, but I don't know where he was putting it after that. Who knows? He could have drove somewhere and buried it. I think he really got to a point where he was paranoid that they were onto him.
I think so too. Midwest comes in with $1.99 as well with super sticker. Thank you guys. You guys rock. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
All righty. So, oops, wrong button. So this is the book.
I can't believe it.
Do you think he obtained? Do you think he had this book before, or do you think he got this book after he got fired?
No. I think it was from before, for sure.
Oh man, what are the chances that I mean,
he probably
he's a weirdo.
He probably has multiple self-help books. So this probably isn't the only one that he has. Maybe this one, they found the highlights and they were like, what the heck? But in my opinion, I don't think this is the first one he has. Just like it wasn't the first, serial killer books and stuff like that he had. He had multiple.
Do you think that he he was trying to learn from these books, like how to act?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it probably also, like you were saying before, he's very scientific. So I think he was looking for a reason for things, which is also why some people take up psychology, believe it or not. So when I start the semester, one of the first things I teach is don't self-diagnose, don't diagnose your family. So sometimes people will take my abnormal or psychopathology trying to find out answers for themselves. So it wouldn't surprise me, because he has his bachelor's in psychology, if part of that, even if it was just starting, the start of it was to figure out his own story. I just don't know that he was successful, which is why he kept seeking out more and more and more.
No, he definitely wasn't very successful. What do you think about the fact that he told them that he was planning on returning the next semester, even though he was terminated, and he's underlining this book about losing a job after a few months? What do you think about the lie?
He just lies. Like, I don't think that it probably wasn't even, like, to him, probably wasn't something where he was like in his head, like, I'm going to lie about this. Like, I think he just lies, because didn't he tell somebody else he talked to, we read that he told them that, oh, I'm on my way, or my dad's here or something. He made it seem like he was still in Washington and he hadn't left yet. Yeah. And here he was already home. So like, it just seems like he lies for no reason. Like, there was no reason to tell that lie. So it's like, why would he lie? And some people, again, it's part of their personality. And think about it, Daniel, we would lie for a certain reason, right? So if I put it back to class or something, if somebody doesn't fill in something on their Scantron, and then we go over whether it's A, B, C, and D, and they fill it in real quick, and they come up to me and they're like, you marked this wrong. So now if somebody doesn't fill it in, I put like real big, like I make it a big deal so that they know, like, don't just fill this in and think I'm going to change it type thing. But there are teachers that will. And when that happens, the student gets emboldened to do it again and again and again. So, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was emboldened. I think because he didn't get caught doing these things. So I think it made, the more he broke into houses or whatever, or, stole even from friends or family, and the more he wasn't getting these consequences, it's probably thrilling for him. And it just probably, continued, kind of like with drugs, like a tolerance almost.
That makes sense. This goes on to say, Cobberger had interest in becoming a professor. He told the two Idaho detectives he loved college, and knowledge was far more important to him than money. To me, this feels like part of his motive, knowledge. He wanted to know what it felt like. He wanted to know what it was like to take somebody's life, to feel that power, to, he's been studying it. He said that criminology made him fascinated and interested in my opinion, in committing a crime. And I think the knowledge aspect, which goes back to when I saw him in court, when the victim impact statements were being happened, a lot of people say that he looked disinterested. I don't think so. I think he was actually kind of just watching and taking in everything and trying to understand, maybe not even understand, but trying to, because that's something you don't learn in criminology, is the impact on the victim's family members and how they feel and what's going on. And so I thought he was taking it in.
Yeah, but
more than anything else.
Then you would have to consider that he's having like more normal emotions. Like, this isn't somebody that
feels. Oh no, I don't think it had anything to do with an emotional aspect.
So I guess like what I'm saying is like when Dylan did hers and she like couldn't breathe, for him, he probably like relived or felt powerful. Like, I did that to you. Like she said, like, I'll never be the same. So I think like this, but in my opinion, he did look disinterested at times, like disinterested, almost like on purpose. Like, I don't know. To me, he looked disinterested at times. I don't think he was trying to get like he wasn't trying to like learn from people's stories or anything.
I don't think he was necessarily learning. I think it was just more like, oh gosh, not of a place of remorse, more of a place of like a scientific aspect.
That I could see, like, he probably was interested in like, what are they going to say to me type thing. So I could see that. But in this case, you also have to remember, like, he didn't really have a choice. So they were going to do their victim impact statement. It wasn't like he could say, no, I don't want to hear this. So he had to hear it. So he knew that we were going to perceive him and that there was going to be cameras on him. So I'm sure, in my opinion, at least I would think that he would, be conscious and aware of that.
Now, what about the fact that his mother was hearing these things? How do you think that would have made him feel? Would that have made him feel anything?
No,
Because it sounds like he has some weird relationship with his mom.
it does, but it's on his terms, right? So he fills a void for her by talking to her and stuff, and then she fills a void by him by giving him commissary and talking to him on the phone and stuff. I'm sure if he starts to get like a ton of other people that want to talk to him, let's say, and they're like willing to put the money on the books to do so, I'm sure he's not going to be like, no, I want to talk to my mom. Where like Stephen Stearns, I think like does like to talk to his parents. It's weird. I think he would talk to other people too, but with Kohberger, I think it's more about he wants to get, like, he has a motive. Like you said, he's very scientific, like A plus B equals C type thing. And that's, to me, it's more like a formula.
It could be. To me, though, I just think there's something weird with his mom. And the article goes on to say
something weird with his mom.
that they talked, and that was something that was even before the murders, that they would talk I got to read it, but almost like incessantly. It was weird. And that was before the murders, and that continued after the fact.
It could be too that she didn't really hold him accountable for things. Do you know what I mean? Because and part of that could have just been her thought process, not wanting to believe that her son could do these harmful things. But he did get better, and he did lose weight. So I'm sure in her head, they were all reasons that she probably was like, maybe he is a good person and stuff like that. So I think in her eyes, she was trying to like wish for something different, but she had to have known that he was capable, not of this maybe, but of, at least robbing people and stuff, because he did it to his sister even and his best friend. But real quick, can I say what I think my motive is? I think the motive, I think you're right about like the scientific part, but I personally think the motive was, whether he got away with it or not, was to be like the new generation of serial killers that people like Catherine Ramsland taught in her courses.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that. Yeah, I definitely think that was a big part of it. I think he wanted to create a high-profile case. I don't know if he necessarily wanted to get caught.
No, well, that's what I mean. But either way, whether he got caught or not, I think that's like the end game. So in his eyes, it's like, right, whether I get caught or not, I want to be the person that they have to study for the next 20 years.
It could be. It definitely could be. He must have known. And then again, I mean, I remember there was I don't remember if it was a document or an article that I read referencing one of these other persons that Bryan Kohberger was talkative about the topic until one day they brought up the fact that Idaho was a death penalty state. And then he kind of started acting a little weird. Maybe he didn't know that Idaho was a death penalty state beforehand, but to me, it sounds like maybe he is in fear of his life or losing his life in some form or fashion. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he took a plea. The other reason is he wanted to correct the narrative. I mean, those are only the two things, but I think it had more to do with saving his life.
To me, it's more about correcting the narrative and the fact that at that point he feels out of control because going through this whole court proceeding, he didn't have control over that. The prosecution was going to pull out all of his weirdness. We were all going to see it and talk about it on YouTube and analyze it. So that's like, talk about losing control. By him pleading guilty, he then takes that control back. So it's like now he's got it. It's on his terms again.
Do you think Bryan Kohberger likes the pro burgers?
No, because I don't think he appreciates, honestly, in my opinion, the fact that they don't think that he's capable of doing it himself, or, you know what I mean? So like, and if they were people that were standing behind him, like, I don't care if he did it, I would, then maybe, but these are people that are saying things like he's not capable of doing it by himself. There's no way he could have done it because he looks like, he couldn't take anybody out. Like, I'm sure that stuff is the stuff that's bothering him.
Yeah. The fact that they give other people credit for what he did.
Yeah. No, thanks. That to him, no, thanks. He's like, I want to, I did that.
Yeah. So this goes on to say that Cobberger was already awake upstairs and appeared to be sorting miscellaneous garbage. During overnight surveillance in the days leading up to his arrest, Cobberger was observed once very late at night walking in dark clothing around his parents' neighborhood. Reports that law enforcement witnessed him throwing trash away in his neighbor's garage were untrue. Or garbage, were untrue. and reports that claim that they saw Cobberger using bleach to clean his car, which he drove back to Pennsylvania with his father, were also false. Now, they did say, so they say that nobody saw him doing it, but they found a bucket of cleaner when they entered his house right next to the Elantra. So,
and the Elantra was spick and span. Like, what are the chances that you can drive all the way across country and you're not going to get crumbs or anything in there or something?
Yeah. Cobberger made a break for it as police forcibly entered and tried to get in downstairs, headed for his room in the basement, where he had a gun down there. 3 magazines. Doesn't sound like they were loaded, but he had a Glock that was also had a register, a register for sale, or a receipt, basically. Sounds like it was brand new, like he just purchased it, with three magazines. Sounds scary.
It does, but for me, I feel like he ran downstairs to flush evidence or to get to something, because we also have to remember, I don't remember whose, channel I heard this one, or if it was like mainstream media, but somebody brought up a good point that it's like a needle in a haystack. Like if you hide something in your house, the police have to find it, right? And I'm sure police do a great job of finding it, but there could be things that he hid really well that people didn't find too. So could there be and even the things that they did find were pretty damning. So could he have just ran downstairs first, like trying to either maybe flush? Did they say whether that was pot, like the green leafy substance?
It is, but it's also legal there.
It's not legal. I'm in Pennsylvania. It's not legal in Pennsylvania. In Philadelphia, we decriminalized it because too many people were getting caught with it, and it was like so much paperwork and tying up the courts. However, we have medical marijuana.
Oh, it's for medical purposes. It's legal. That's what it says.
Does he have his card?
I would assume, because they brought up the fact that it is legal for medical purposes.
Okay, then if they said that, then yeah.
It didn't say that he has a card.
He's not. I was going to say, I'm surprised that he wouldn't be scared, because you're then in a system and your medical card looks just like your driver's license. So for me, I feel like that would be, he didn't even like giving his phone number to the cop, let alone having.
But it was found in a spare bedroom. It wasn't found where he was at. So it could have been his sister's or somebody else's. Yeah, it was found in a spare bedroom, and they didn't find anything. I mean, I don't think he could have destroyed any evidence because they didn't find any evidence. But they did have.
So what do you think he was running from?
I think he was running to get the gun. I think he was going to point it at somebody and get his life taken away,
or have like a hostage situation.
I don't know if he would do that. I think
I meant like himself, like with Bryan Kohberger, how he had him like. Maybe he wanted to sensationalize that way too. Who knows? But I feel like if he wanted to do that, he would have taken his life before, or like when he heard the door opening, because that machine that comes is like really loud, and you would have heard it. They broke the glass and everything, so he would have had like a few seconds. So I feel like he would have had that ready. Like you said that you don't think that it was loaded. I feel like that would have been part of a plan, if it was part of a plan, that it would have been ready. Everything else was, or at least.
Well, I think it was perhaps he was getting something ready for when he got back to Washington, like a very bad situation back in Washington.
Do you think he thought he was going back to Washington, even though they discontinued his?
Yeah, his dad bought a plane ticket, a one-way ticket from Washington back to Pennsylvania in January 20th.
Yeah, like when he did.
Oh yeah, so his dad bought his plane ticket on December 10th to fly out December 11th. Yep. This was shortly after they got into their argument, and then on the same day he bought a plane ticket for January 20th from Pullman, Washington, back to Pennsylvania. And so the intention was to drive his son back and then fly back home.
Which you would think, why wouldn't they just have BK fly home and then fly back?
That's what I was thinking. And I think that was the initial plan, like he told his buddy, or the guy that texted him about the grades. I think that was the initial plan. But when the bolo comes out, he's like, I got to get this car out of here.
Yep. But that would make me think, how much did his dad know then? If his dad, because wouldn't his dad just be like, all right, just come home. Like, don't worry about the car. You didn't do nothing. Just leave it. So did his dad suspect? Because why would his dad just then come and drive it home? I wonder if like
He's probably like, I can't handle this, and just kind of going off the end. I don't want to get on a plane. Can you just come? And his mama being anything for my son, just go drive him back.
I could see that. And they wouldn't have had the money to like fly the dad out and then fly both of them back and then fly Bryan back. So that does make sense that they fly the dad out. He drives home with them and then comes back.
Yeah. And as far as like, I know some folks are saying maybe he thought somebody was breaking in. Obviously that's a possibility, but he's also very paranoid, and he's thinking he's being watched and followed. I think he's almost based on his reaction of being calm, it's almost like he's expecting this to happen.
It's also a gated community.
That's true.
I mean, I'm sure there's still burglaries, but
yeah, I'm sure he was paranoid. He was looking around. He was probably noticing cars in the area that probably weren't there before, those type of things, and is probably like, all right, they're on to me. And when that door breaks down, that's why he's level-headed. He knew this was happening. He knew they were after him. That's why he was level-headed and calm and everything else in that interview room. He was prepared for it to a certain extent.
And that's what I meant earlier when I said whether he was found or not. To him, I feel like his ultimate goal was to be studied eventually. So if anything, this just speeds up the process. Now I think you like in his head, that book, right? This goes back to the book, trying to make a winning situation out of anything because he doesn't like to fail. So in one sense, if he gets caught, it's a winning situation because now he could be like the person that everybody studies. If he doesn't get caught, he's the professor that knows about this crime like nobody else does. So I feel like with that book, that book said a lot to me.
In Pennsylvania, is there like a weird thing when you purchase a gun, you have to wait a few days to purchase ammunition or anything like that?
That's a good question here. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. That's a good question. I
know in some states that might be I think I've heard of that in some states where you can buy the weapon, but you have to wait a couple of days to buy the ammunition or something like that.
We're pretty open here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. I have no idea because some folks are asking why wouldn't he buy ammunition? I don't know.
Wouldn't he already have it?
He could, and maybe perhaps there was ammunition in the house. It just wasn't in the magazines.
Which makes me think that wasn't his end goal and also I don't think to me, he's not like, I don't think he wanted to die, which is another reason that he takes the plea, right? Because he decides that he's going to live type thing. So by taking the plea, he gets to live. So I just don't think that he was ever, I don't know another word to use, but to take his life.
Maybe.
I don't want to say the S word because I know YouTube's weird about that.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
I just say take their own. Let's see.
Take their own. Okay.
Yeah. Cobberger's disposition during the interviews was calm and relaxed. Cobberger didn't ask why he was there until deep in the conversation. The suspect showed no signs of anger, concern, or the appearance of being rattled. What does that say? What do you think about that?
He lacks the same emotional response that we would. So, but part of that has to do, like, there's part biology to this too, like his amygdala or the part of the brain that houses emotion. That's different than you or I, he's not feeling the anxiety, which is also why I don't believe, and I still don't believe, that he's a germaphobe. I know he's washing his hands a lot, but I feel like you could wash your hands a lot and not be a germaphobe. So I don't think that washing your hands means you're a germaphobe. There's many other things. And with obsessive compulsive disorder, you have to have the intrusive thoughts, but then you have to have the anxiety that makes you do what it is you're thinking. I've always believed he lacks anxiety, you guys, which is why to me, it wasn't OCD. It was more obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is more of like a rigid thinking and stuff like that. You guys look up personality disorders. I'm telling you.
But he would still feel fear, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, you can feel fear. Absolutely. You can feel fear, but I don't know that it's fear the way that we would feel it, as far as like, I don't, like, if the cops came, the cop asked me to move my car, and I literally was like, about to cry because I'm like, oh no, I have to go on the show in a couple of minutes. Like, I don't want Daniel to be waiting. So like, I could have cried in that situation. Like, he literally is just chill. So like, he just lacks all of that, so although he might have fear, I feel like fear is more a present thing as far as feeling it, not more of a future thing, where anxiety is a future emotion. With anxiety, you haven't done that thing yet, which is why you're anxious about it. Once you do the thing, the anxiety goes away. You could love it or hate it, but the anxiety still goes away.
That makes a lot of sense. This goes on to say that once they brought up the case in Moscow, Cobberger shut down and no longer was interested in talking. He said he had the utmost respect for law enforcement, had a constitutional right to an attorney, and the detectives concluded the interview. It says during nearly 2.5 years in jail waiting trial, Cobberger has had hundreds of mostly video calls that were monitored by police. Only his mother, father, and 2 older sisters outside of those with his attorneys. His mother and father were on almost all of the calls, with his sisters also there most of the time, he said. In none of the discussions did Cobberger family ever talk about the murders with their son or brother. Instead, the calls hovered over completely trivial stuff. So he never broached the issue of whether he killed the 4 students. What do you think about that the family's not even talking about it or asking about it?
It makes me feel like they're not close in a way that like maybe me and my brother are, where I would go to my brother and be like, yo, cuz, like, what's going on? Like, tell me. So I don't feel like they have that connection. So it might have been awkward for them to even bring up. Maybe they were scared to bring it up. If he did this to 4 strangers, they might be thinking, could he do this to us and the family and have familicide? Like, who knows? So they probably feared too.
Mm-hmm.
He was weird.
I don't know. I mean, it's complete denial, is what I was thinking.
Oh, you don't think they believe that he did it?
I think they believe that he didn't do it for the longest time. I think they were in denial.
I wonder how they feel now that he admitted it.
Well, let me put it this way. I think his parents were in denial. I'm not necessarily certain. I'm not necessarily certain if his sisters or both of his sisters were or weren't. But I do think that his mother and father definitely were in denial.
I agree with that. I think that the mother probably was in denial longer than the father was, but I do agree that for the longest time they were both in denial. But I think the father eventually, because he doesn't show up at that last, at the victim impact statement for the sentencing, he wasn't there, and neither was the one sister. So maybe that was their way of being like, look, like we stuck with you this whole time, but now that you're guilty, we don't want to be a part of that.
I've seen a lot of pictures of Cobberger as a child and as a baby being floated around here recently. There was an article that we read that kind of talked about the possibility of Cobberger doing an interview and his family agreeing to an interview and maybe have sold some pictures off to media. It sounds like some pictures are coming out of somewhere of Bryan Kohberger as a baby. Do you think that his family could be attempting to milk this in at some point?
No, I don't think so. I think that his sisters, like, they lost their job and stuff. They probably just want their life to go back to normal. I mean, who knows? If the mom and dad are like desperate at some point in the future, that could always be like a save themselves card. However, I would think that he would want to be the one that tells his story, and he wouldn't just want to do it to the highest bidder. He would want to pick the person. He even says in that one thing that knowledge means more to him than money. So to him, I feel like that's the same as or would mean the same type of thing as I need somebody smart that can understand me or analyze me in the way that I want to be analyzed, and not like he wouldn't like the fact that somebody else chose for him.
Right, but I don't think that would be the case. I mean, I think if it were to be done, it would probably be in the essence of like, all right, they're going to do an interview with the Cobberger family, have the pictures or whatever, and pay them for that, as long as Bryan Kohberger agrees to do an interview with them. So it's paying the family for something, and Cobberger talks it out. You don't think that would ever happen?
I actually said that at first when we had, I think it was when we had Elaine on, or when you had Elaine on, we were saying that, that's what they do sometimes. They'll say that we didn't pay so that it doesn't look bad on them. However, they don't tell you that. So they'll say we didn't pay for the interview, but they forget to tell you that they paid for the pictures. I don't think so. And I think that if they did do it, he would get like mad. I don't see him being okay with that in any sense of the word. I don't think he cares enough about them to be worried about their finances. I think he would feel like that's like disloyal to do to him. In my opinion.
That could be true. So Gilbertson said, not one bit. The closest they would ever get is maybe speaking just briefly about the next motion or upcoming or hearing upcoming or coming up, and something good's going to come out of what we've have coming up next, even as they lost motion after motion after motion. So the only thing they said basically was like, oh, something good's bound to happen. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really staying away from it.
For sure.
So here's where it says that his phone location indicated that he returned to the King Road coverage area later that morning between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21, according to the probable cause affidavit. But the King Road neighbor's security camera did not show Cobberger's white Elantra again between those times.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it tells me he wasn't because I think he could have gone into that house and picked up that knife sheath. Every door was left open. You know, we were looking at some of the pictures. There was a lot of that PPE stuff that was coming out of his house. I mean, if he was aware that he may have left something at that residence, and he had Broadcastify going on, he entered the back sliding glass door, so the front door shouldn't have been open. I know that some people indicate that it was, but Chief Fry had indicated that it wasn't.
So I feel like I didn't even think about the camera. That was like straight A stupid of me. But if the camera didn't pick him up, the chances of him actually going back to the house, I mean, he could have gone around. Isn't there another way that he could have gone around where he could have avoided that? I don't know. But no, well, then that says to me, if he didn't go back there, that maybe, and this is again just speculation in my opinion, could he have immediately after the crime buried something somewhere and then came back for it?
Well, I think that's exactly what he did. But I think that during this time, he's like listening to Broadcastify, and there's nothing there, and there's nothing on the news, and so he's going back to go and check what's going on, and he doesn't have to get that close to the house, and he's probably aware that if there is any cameras in that area, that they would have captured him. So he's probably on the other side of where like Xana Kernodle could be, or back up there on Williams Drive in the back area, just where he can kind of take a gander and a look. I mean, if you're at Xana Kernodle and you look out the window, you can see everything. I mean, all of the students that were out there because they were in eye view of the house and they could see what was going on.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't realize that the camera didn't pick him up.
Yeah, camera did not pick him up. So that tells me he didn't go back at all. So he could have, I would have thought that if he left the knife sheath, he probably would have, if he knew about it, he left the doors open. I mean, it's broad daylight, so it's a little bit, a little bit more nerve-wracking. But you're right; he's broken into a lot of other houses since he was young, and I think not all of those were at night. Some of them were during the day. One of them was when Connie Saba, his former neighbor, she went to go visit her son Jeremy Saba. Well, he just got arrested for DWI. Bryan Kohberger manipulated the situation by calling her and saying, "Hey, what time are you going? Because I want to go right after you." And when she left, he went in, stole her medicines and some money and some other stuff. And then he later admitted to her to atone during his rehab. So he was well more than capable of going in there. He had other, booties and things of that nature that he could have put over his shoes.
Do you think that he would have wanted to be seen in daylight though?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a risk.
You know what I mean? And I also think that he got close enough to where he could look at Yik Yak. And that's the one where it's the social media where if you're an EDU, meaning that you have a college email, you could be a part of this. But it only shows you within 5 miles of where you're at. So if you're outside of that 5 miles, then you don't get any notifications. So just like a Snapchat where you could see where your friends are, you could do that on Yik Yak with other students. And you could talk and stuff. So I wonder if he also was looking at that to see if anybody was talking yet or to find out information. Yeah. I'm sure he had a burner phone too.
A lot of people believe that to be the case. I believe it to be the case. Possibly. I mean, he was doing a lot of and he was effectively doing it, deleting things off of his phone. So this goes on to say that later that day, Cobberger cell data showed that he traveled from Pullman south to the area of Clarkson, Washington. The surveillance showed a video where he exited his Elantra and walked into an Albertsons in Clarkson. He went through the self-checkout stand and only bought a prepackaged Starbucks Frappuccino coffee drink. So nothing to destroy evidence, nothing for any of those things. He's been up all night. You know, I would have assumed he had something stronger than coffee, but he had coffee at this moment.
And wait, where's the Albertsons at?
In Clarkson, Washington, about an hour south.
Could he have like buried something out there and he was just stopping for a coffee?
He could have. But so he's there at 1, and then he goes on to say he leaves at 1 p.m. and again at 5:30, about 25 miles north in Johnson, Washington, is when his phone turns off, and it turns off for 3 hours, and it doesn't report to the network until 8:30, and this remains unknown. So in that time, he would have been in that area where he could have traveled to where the victim's residence was. I mean, not the victim's residence, but where he was the night before when his phone was off. And those back roads, they lead together. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick and I can show you.
Isn't he a runner? Could he have like parked a little bit further away and like walked up?
He could have. He definitely could have.
Maybe.
Let's see. Idaho 4 project.
There's only one way in and one way out though, right?
Out of the King Road residence area, yeah.
Okay. So maybe he knew that, knowing that like he could possibly get caught in daylight on camera somewhere. So maybe he parked right outside of the entrance to come in that neighborhood and walked or jogged the rest.
Yeah. So here's Clarkson, Washington. Right here. Let me make this bigger. And just north is Johnson, Idaho, and this is where his phone turned off. Now, this is the route in yellow that they believe he took. This route here is the route that he would have had to have taken to get back on I-95 and not get captured on this camera right here. He was not captured here, so this is the only other route that he could have taken. This route here connects to these red streets here, which connect back right here where Johnson, Idaho is, right there. Or Washington, I'm sorry. Johnson is right here. And you can just easily take one of these red streets. It's literally 7-8 miles. It's not very far. This is not a very far distance from each other. Like
that also tells me that he like reconned it too, because he knew where to go. Because didn't he have his phone off from this time?
Yeah. So
he had
like I said, literally 7 miles is the distance between where he turned his phone off and and he could have gotten all the way back to I-95 just south of Moscow. Mm-hmm. So these roads here would have led him back. So if he would have hit something at any point here in this area, he could have been from Johnson, Idaho or Washington in that area within a matter of 20 minutes.
Wow.
And his phone was off for 30 minutes.
And it's such a rural area. And if he did do if he did prep before, he could have already had something dug where he just had to put it in and fill it back in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think he did. And I think maybe that's why that shovel had, maybe it was what do you think about this? What if he went and pre-dug something like deep with a regular shovel and even threw in the shovels and then used like a snow shovel to put in the dirt back, and he didn't mind taking it with him because it actually didn't contact with anything with the crime scene. Was it
a snow shovel? I thought it was a dirt shovel.
I have no idea what it was. It's just said it was a plastic shovel.
Oh, they said that? I thought they knew it was a dirt shovel. So then maybe I always thought it was a dirt shovel. So in that case, I don't know, because why would he have a dirt shovel? I don't know why he would keep that. But why would he keep that one if he put them all in there to get rid of them? Like, I see what you're saying, but he doesn't.
Well, he had to put the dirt in there.
Well, that's what I mean. But doesn't he also know that they could do dirt science type? I mean, though they didn't really find anything, but he had to have known that like they could do scientific tests where they could take the dirt and try to find out where the soil came from. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe he didn't think of that. I don't know.
I don't know either, to be honest with you. The shovel throws me off, but the shovel had Moscow soil with a mixture of some different pollens, mainly pine, which is prevalent in that area. But they had some other soil from, I think it was like applewood and maple or something like that, burwood and maple. And
Maybe
those
that's what
aren't
was
from
doing.
that area.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
they're
what
not.
he's doing at 9:30.
Yeah, could be. It goes on to say that the area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is the Idaho seaport. Large bodies of moving water down there. Investigators searched high and low for the cave bar and a fixed blade knife they believed that Cobberger used. They searched in frequent places such as the Wildlife Park, Steptoe Butte State Park, and among other possible locations for tracking his route. I don't think he's going to plan it or put it somewhere where it's going to connect back to him like that. I strongly suspect that it's probably on the way to one of these places, something that he can visit and see.
He had to have thought of that. I hope. I mean, I would not. I hope, but I mean, I would think that, like, you're in criminology courses. I would think that he at least learned that much to. But then again, who knows? He had that the knife sheath he left, and the shovel was in his car. So who knows?
That's true. They go on to say that they think that it's possible that he threw it in a body of water. We talked already that I strongly doubt that it's in a body of water.
Me either.
No way. This guy is all about control. He's not going to lose control that way.
Yeah.
They go on to say that the decisive error that led to Cobberger to leave the knife sheath was because of Kernodle. They say that she certainly did go upstairs. Unfortunately, what stopped him there caused him to screw up and leave the knife sheath. Was he hearing or seeing Xana? And that took his attention away and he followed her down the bedroom. I think that's possible, but I doubt it because of Murphy. She walks up the stairs with Murphy. Murphy had to have come down the stairs. And if Murphy was in Maddie's room and Cobberger entered there, well, Murphy didn't have any blood on him, so he wasn't in there while the murder was happening, so he must have left fairly quickly. That would have put him interrupting Xana's TikTok much sooner than 4:16. For those that are new, we've looked at some records. One of the records was an arrest warrant for TikTok, which stated that Xana Kernodle was on TikTok till 4:16. That came out on April 5th, 2023. So after the PCA was written. So my understanding probably is that the PCA's information on Xana being on her phone until 4:12 is probably from the phone information that may not be as accurate. So to me, I think that Bryan Kohberger had opened Kaylee's door after he had committed the murder in Maddie's room. That way, Murphy runs out and runs downstairs, interrupts Xana at 4:16 from her TikTok, and then she takes him upstairs. Takes less than 45 seconds to get up there. They get back, and then there's the altercation. To me, if he opened that door and Murphy ran out, and that's what grabbed Xana's attention, and Xana went upstairs to take him back, well, he had already left the knife sheath behind. You get what I'm saying?
I do. That is true. One of my subs had a question, and I was like, I'll ask Daniel. Because how do we know that? So now that we listened to that audio, and some people said that that dog might not be Murphy, that it might be someone else's dog. Let's just say, like, speculate. Let's say it was somebody else's dog. Would that leave a possibility open that Murphy never came out of the room at all? Or that maybe he never even opened the door?
Well, Dylan heard Murphy go upstairs and then down the stairs with Dylan,
But she also
with who she
thought
thought was Kaylee.
Yeah, she also thought she heard Kaylee go up and down.
Well, she thought it was Kaylee. It was Xana. But she heard Kaylee with Murphy go up and then down. Murphy had access to being outside. It was sub-freezing temperatures. And I have a dog just out there at 4:00 in the morning for that long period of time.
No,
that's pretty cruel.
That's what the sub was saying. Like, what if nobody ever even opened the door? But I see what you're saying. Then Dylan wouldn't have heard him coming down the steps.
Yeah, and then I doubt somebody's leaving their dog out in the freezing elements all night for him to be barking at 4:17. And then thirdly, there was a document that was from a witness or a neighbor from very close by that indicated that Murphy was the only dog that lived in the area.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I
And
was
so
thinking more the dog might have seen it from the window and barked, but you're right. I do remember that. But didn't they say that there was, I don't know, maybe this didn't happen and maybe it was just another one of the things that isn't true. But didn't neighbors walking their dog say they saw the front door open?
one neighbor said that they did.
But they were walking their dog.
They were walking their dog. Yeah, yep, you're right.
So there's
And it
dog
was
out.
a neighbor though, but that was a neighbor from the apartment complex that was on the other side.
Right, but it
This
still shows
this was a
that there
person
are
that
people
heard the
there.
dog from the houses.
No, I hear you. But maybe I'm saying like maybe there could be another dog. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I
there
don't know.
could be.
It was just a thought process.
No, you're absolutely right. There could be another dog. Even a lot of
It
law
doesn't matter
enforcement say
either way.
that there could be another dog. I just think that Murphy did have access to going outside. He did run downstairs. He had no blood on him, so either he ran further down the stairs into the first floor, or he ran outside at that moment when he ran downstairs, because he didn't run into Xana's room because there was no blood on him. And so my thoughts are he ran outside, and for him to have ran outside, that tells me that there was a moment where they saw each other, Xana, Murphy, and Bryan Kohberger. Because if Xana just kind of gets the willies and turns around and runs, I feel that Murphy would have followed her.
Unless he was scared, because then they might have both ran down the steps and she runs one way.
Well, what scared him?
Her being scared.
Her being scared made him go a different direction. That's possible. That's
My
possible.
dog's like a big scaredy cat, and if I was running and screaming, he would like worry about himself. It's the funniest thing. I'm always like, I'm glad, and he's huge. He's a mastiff. Thor, God of
Yeah.
Thunder. He's the biggest wimp ever. He is not an
No,
attack
I am
dog.
not. Jane comes in saying the spare tire missing theory, pre-dug hole with a tire on top. Yeah, that's what Steve had said from True Crime Web, that may have been a possibility. He may have used it as a may have dug a hole, put that, and then dug, you dig a hole, then you put all your stuff, and then like halfway up the hole you put the top, and then you put the dirt over it, I guess. And so that way animals can't dig it up and things like that.
That was great insight.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's quite a bit. I think that's a possibility. I do think that I think Bryan Kohberger dextered his trunk, but I also think he had the foresight of knowing that if he got a flat tire, that he would have to undexter his car or his trunk to get the spare out. And so he was like, hey, screw it. I'm just going to buy a new spare tire and keep this outside of the dextered part, exposed to the potential kit or the kill kit, exposed to DNA, and just have to discard it as well. What do you think?
I when you guys said that night, I was like, oh, that's genius. Like, that's probably, I don't think about those things necessarily. Like, I'm thinking more, did he bury it or did he throw it? But that was genius. Like, when I said, I was like, oh yeah. Now, is he genius enough to think that?
That's true. I mean, he had the spare, and there was only two items. It was the inflator and the spare tire that were not part of that Amazon purchase, and everything else that would have been in the trunk was. So he felt uncomfortable to keep that. To me, that points to he dextered it, but kept the spare out just in case he needed it.
I totally think that's probably not even a possibility. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
If he was smart enough to think that.
I mean, the guy got away with a lot of stuff, and he had a lot of forethought to do certain things. The way he drove around, the way he his exit, outside of Moscow, even for instance, when he left Pullman, he doesn't go off the 270. He goes off the next roadway. He passes 270, then turns on a dirt road, loops back around, still comes back on to that Pullman highway right there before you get to Floyd's cannabis shop. And I mean, it was kind of not necessarily like smart or whatever, but law enforcement were trying to say that he was in front of there, and his story was no, he didn't turn on 270, SR 270. He kept going southbound, and then he turned his phone off, and then he turned left. I mean, there's more than one way to get there, but he was trying to allude that he was going to the Walleye Park, which is the exact area or the same path that he would have been going until he turned off his phone.
And it's tied to Ted Bundy. I think that he was more that, like, on that level of smartness. I don't know that he would have thought of the tire thing, but maybe he did, because I do think that that's a clear possibility.
You know, this picture here, I often thought was that Bryan Kohberger was trying to figure himself out. He was trying to find similarities in different persons and people. And I think before he started to find similarities in real life people, I think he was finding similarities throughout movies. One of the things that it came out was his date on Tinder, and he used the term that the girl he was dating had great birthing hips. Now, that was from a movie. That was from Dark Shadows, Johnny Depp movie, where he's a vampire, kind of creepy by himself, a loner, acts weird, talks weird. Very much like Bryan Kohberger, mechanical. He's a vampire. He's a demon. And in this movie, he talks about women having great birthing hips because he's apparently from an area where that was attractive or whatnot. I guess that's when they described it as such, and a time or whatever. To me, that's kind of told me that, you know, the date said that they had watched some movies. I wouldn't be surprised if the movie that they saw was a Johnny Depp movie, and they probably talked a little bit about liking Johnny Depp movies, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reason why he ended up using that. But I thought that he is a guy that watches movies and tries to find himself in those movies. This picture here, very reminiscent of the American Psycho, where he's got the headphones and walking after he commits a homicide. His face is clean and shaved. It's weird. He was 27 when this occurred. The movie American Psycho, Patrick Bateman was 27 when he committed his crimes. Possibly, I think there's if you watch the movie, there's like some people, there's a little twist there that maybe it wasn't real, maybe it was, I don't know. But yeah, if it was, he committed the murders when he was 27. He talks about this weird regimen that he's going through, as far as cleaning his face and a wax. And as he's peeling off the mask, he's looking in the mirror and saying that he also has a mask. And I couldn't help but think that if Bryan Kohberger is this movie guy, movie buff, he's probably seen that. One of the persons, and according to this document here, that Bryan Kohberger had researched quite a bit and took possibly some details from was Danny Rawlings, who was the inspiration for the movie Scream. He used a K-bar knife. He attacked sorority girls. He had a different past. You know, he grew up where his dad beat him and a bunch of other things happened to him. But he used the K-bar knife, and he also did some weird things to the bodies with vinegar to try to destroy DNA. And Ann Taylor mentioned in a hearing one time that it appeared that something was done because there was some appearance of a possible partial cleanup of some kind. What do you think about the whole movie situation with Bryan Kohberger trying to, I don't know, maybe perhaps find himself in that?
I think that that's 100% true. I did a couple lives on it. There's like lives on my page if anybody wants to see. I did one where I compare him to Bateman and Bundy. And I think the Bundy reference, right, with the thumbs up. I also think Psycho being in the shower. So maybe that, but I also think that he thought that he should get a picture of himself. And this is just my opinion, just in case, so that he could say, what are you talking about? I don't have any scrapes or bruises, even though we, like, you know, some people see some to him, and we don't see his other hand, his dominant hand. So he could very well have bruises or whatever on his right hand. But I feel like this was more like evidence. Again, I feel like this is very mechanical, scientific. Like, look, I have evidence. Like, there's no, like, nobody could say I had scratches, or does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't sound like he was scratched. Law enforcement don't believe that he was. They were arguing that, prosecution, Bill Thompson was arguing that there wasn't, and that they didn't believe that there was because he was wearing some sort of Dickies outfit and some material, and that there was no DNA found underneath the fingers of the victims and things of that nature. If he was trying to prove that he didn't do anything, and why not take a shirtless picture or one that's not a collared where it looks like you're hiding something?
Well, that part I think has to do with the movie characters. I do think that, but I think like part of it would be, and again, I know that we say that, but there were people saying there's no, like, well, some of the Kohbergers, there's no way he would have cut his hands and he didn't have any bruises. So they would have to see somewhere that he didn't have bruises to say that. So I don't know. Did he have that, you know, forethought? I don't know. I don't know. Am I giving him too much credit? I don't know. Tell us in the comments. Am I giving him too much credit?
Well, apparently, well, I don't know. They found other pictures on his phone, and in this pose too. This wasn't the only one.
If it was like a normal thing though. Like I would like to know, did he do this often? Like, does he take selfies? Like if my 22-year-old, if we found a selfie, I would be like, duh, she's got 1,000 selfies. So like, is this something that he always did, or was this out of character? That's what I would want to know.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people look at is that his ring finger has something at the very tip. Some people speculate that maybe it's a ring.
I don't know. I don't see it.
It's hard to tell. There is something there. There's a black dot, but I mean, it could be a birthmark. It could be a mole. It could be a freckle. It could be a scab. It could be a lot of things. But if it was a scab, I would anticipate they would have found something.
He's definitely cosplaying at 28.
Mm-hmm. All righty. So this is from The Independent, and this is from Heather Barnhart, Senior Director of Forensic Research at Cellbrite. Her and I'm assuming her spouse and her calls her colleague, Jared Barnhart, maybe that's her brother, head of a CX strategy and advocacy at Cellbrite, also digital forensic expert on the case, were slated to be testifying at Cobberger's trial before he unexpectedly accepted a plea deal. It goes on to say that the Cellbrite team had uncovered files scrubbed from his devices, searches routed through VPNs, and deep downloads about serial killers, all which they say painted a chilling picture of obsession and planning. Forensic analysis revealed that Cobberger's phone had only 4 periods of total inactivity dating back to June 2022. One of those silent moments occurred on the night of the murders. And we also know that the other time was when he was between 5:30 and 8:30, shortly after the murders. The other 2 times I'm kind of interested in is in what was he doing those 2 times? Were those other times he was trying to commit the murders and just didn't succeed?
1,000%, or was he doing something else somewhere else?
Now, it goes on to say he didn't just lose signal or run out of battery. This was an actual button press off and purpose to power back on 2 hours later. And in between that time, 4 people's lives were taken. He didn't just Google these cases. He downloaded full PDFs of the case files, not once, but repeatedly. He downloaded detailed reports of serial killers, including Danny Rolling, who also murdered college students using a similar knife.
I didn't realize as much about Danny Rolling. Like, I just started looking into him more, and I couldn't believe the similarities.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Just to count, for those that don't know, Danny Rolling, also known as the Gainesville Ripper, American serial killer who murdered 5 college students in Gainesville, Florida over 4 days in August 1990. He also SA'd several of his victims, committing a triple homicide in his home city of Shreveport, Louisiana, and attempting to take the life of his father in May of 1990. Confessed to taking the lives of 8 people, and his life was taken by lethal injection back in 2006. His spree inspired the film franchise Scream. And he had a crazy life. His dad beat the crap out of him and tried to kill him and beat his mom and brother and a bunch of other things. He had a horrific upbringing, right? So it's a little bit different than what we know from what Bryan Kohberger went through.
I meant like picking up like the weapon and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like the victims.
Right. Yeah. So I was just going to say that those are different. Now let's talk about the specifics with the cases. In August of 1990, we'll start off with August 24th, early morning hours. Rolling broke into an apartment shared by 2 university freshmen, 18-year-old Sonja Larson and 17-year-old Christina Powell. Finding Powell asleep on the downstairs couch, he stood over her briefly, did not wake her up. Doesn't that kind of sound like, Dylan was asleep. He didn't wake her up before he went upstairs. Now, I'm not saying that he walked in there, stood over her bed. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. She didn't wake up until a few minutes later. Her bedroom window was the one with the screen down outside. Do you think he may have done something similar, stood over her at some point?
I don't think so, but that's like crazy. I don't remember this. I don't remember reading that. That's wild. I mean, I guess it's all a possibility, but I don't know. I don't think so. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's weird.
Because I don't think she was really that deep in his sleep. Or I mean, maybe she was, but she woke up.
I mean, she was drunk. It's 4:00 in the morning. I'm pretty sure she was pretty heavily asleep. Something woke her up. I wouldn't be surprised.
Upstairs.
Right, obviously. But I think that like a loud noise, so that woke her up. I don't necessarily believe, like, for instance, Bryan Kohberger didn't wake her up, opening the back sliding glass door, walking up there. That's not what woke her up. So could he have opened the door? I don't think so, because I think the door would have been left open.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that maybe, if anything, he looked through the window.
That's so weird.
You know, because the screen was down and it was right there.
Do they remember the screen being down before that?
The screen was down before that. I've seen. I think it was down in the 911 video. The loud noise complaints.
Oh, okay. See, then I don't think that there's a connection there, but that would be like crazy if he did that.
Yeah. It goes on to say that Rolling's choosing to go up the stairs to the upstairs bedroom where Larson slept. Rolling took the life of Larson for taping her mouth shut to stifle her screams, and then stabbing her to death with a K-bar knife. She died trying to fend him off. Now, Steve Goncalves has mentioned that when talking about the injuries to his daughter, that she was gagged by something that left markings horizontal on her mouth. Don't sound like it was tape, but interesting thing. Rolling then went back downstairs, taped Powell's mouth shut, bound her wrists together behind her back, threatened her with the knife as he cut her clothes off. Took her alive by stabbing her 5 times in the back. And this is going to happen a lot of back stabs in the back. August 25th, 1990, Rolling broke into the apartment of Krista Hoyt, who an 18-year-old chemistry honors student at Santa Fe College, by prying open the sliding glass door with a screwdriver. Finding she was not home, he waited in the living room for her to return. Between 10:30 and 11 p.m., Hoyt entered the apartment and was surprised by Rolling, who placed her in a chokehold, and then subdued her and used duct tape to gag her mouth, bind her wrists together behind her back, and led her to the bedroom. He stabbed her in the back, rupturing her aorta, then flipping her body over and slicing her abdomen open from her pelvic bone to her breastbone. After arriving back at his campsite, Rolling could not find his wallet. Thinking he may have lost it at the murder scene, he returned there, at which time he decapitated Hoyt, posed her body in a sitting position at the edge of her bed, and placed her head on the shelf facing the corpse. He later claimed his intent was to add the shock to whoever discovered her. Do you think that the carving to Ethan's leg could have been something that was also to add shock? Or maybe even what happened with Kaylee in the bedroom as well. Do you think part of that was to add shock?
So that I do. To the victims, I definitely do. But I also think with Ethan, maybe, because I was thinking about it, and I've always said, psychologically, Ethan's everything that he's not, right? So that could be his way of being like, you're not going to get up type thing. So I do think it with Kaylee, yes. With Ethan, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that it's possible that he wanted to add shock to it. I don't think he was done. I think that Dylan came out and yelled something, and that caught his attention and said, all right, I got to get out of here. I think it would have been more horrific had that not happened. I wouldn't be surprised if there would have been some sort of manipulation with the bodies, or staging, those type of things. If Dylan didn't yell out something,
I feel like
made him leave.
I feel like he wanted to be like God in a way, though, to say, like, you get to live. Because think about it now, Dylan, like I said, it, like bringing this all the way back full circle. When she was doing her victim impact statement, he was probably like that was probably filling his gas tank of evil narcissism and stuff, by hearing that she still has that much fear. I mean, she couldn't breathe. I still hear that in my head. That was horrible. So, but to him, now she gets to live on with that, right? And now she's always afraid. So it's like another like living legacy of this. And then he's got like the people that were murdered that he's also tying himself to. He's a sick.
Yeah, these people are sick. They definitely are. August 27th, Tracy Paulez was 23 years old, living with her roommate Manny Tabadoa. And also 23, Rolling broke into their apartment and prying their sliding glass door. And the same tools were used previously. Rolling, do you think so one of the things that I thought is he's searching for mistakes and successes. One of the successes that he was able to accomplish was going through sliding glass doors. Do you think that played a role in choosing the victims he wanted, that to make sure that they had something similar to a sliding glass door for quick entry?
So I don't think that that would have stopped him, the sliding glass door. However, since hearing all of this, I didn't realize that sliding glass doors were so easy to access. So I'm sure that that was like, you know, icing on the cake type thing. But I would think that there's a lot of sliding glass doors. I don't know how much that played a part, only because we know that this wasn't the first house that he's gone into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it played a role. I think he was looking for the perfect house. And I think there had to be a lot of things that were going on. I think he was looking for a house with mostly females, attractive young females that were young and in college, something that would create a high profile crime. And I think he wanted to get a house that had a lot of people going in and out, because it would mask his presence going in and out. And I think he also wanted a place that was easy accessible, that he could get into. And I think that he saw a lot of people going in and out of that backsliding glass door, and he saw that as a possibility. I think he saw that multiple people use backsliding glass doors as entry point, and they were very successful. And I think that played a role.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. But I definitely think that he picked the girls. I'm thinking though, if like, let's say he like found the girls, and I'm just making this up just to see what you think. But like, if he did have that connection at Mad Greek, and then they became part of his fantasy, do you think that he wouldn't have, or he would have changed fantasy victims type thing if they didn't have a sliding glass door? That's why that's like where my my thought process goes. Like, I think it was more about the victims, in my opinion, than about, but I think the sliding glass door is like, that's, you know,
I don't know.
better.
He never returned back to the house. There's a lot of things he didn't do. It doesn't sound like anything's missing, although there's a picture of that. He didn't take any tokens. This is more about, in my opinion, like kind of go back full circle, knowledge of how it feels to do this. I think it's possible. I think it's possible that was the case, but I think he's more scientific. He's more mechanical.
But he's also fantasy driven.
That's true. What do you think happened first? He found the house and them, or he found the Mad Greek? Because let's just say if he found the house and this was the house and he started to surveil them, do you think he would have gone to the Mad Greek at that point?
No, I think that's where in my opinion, that's where he found them. And I think, didn't one of the friends speculate that if he asked her out and she said no because she had a boyfriend, she might not have said, because I have a boyfriend. She might have just said no. And then could that have been like, you know, could he have been turned off by that? Like, got in a rage? Because he is.
I don't think that would have mattered. There was another situation where he was, like, two situations. One where he followed a girl at some place, even though she had a boyfriend. And that came out in a document. And then also at the pool party, he was harassing another girl who was married.
You're right. I take that back. That was weird at the pool party when he stood there, even after the husband came over, and he still stood there and stared at her. You're right about that. I forgot about that. He was definitely fantasy driven, in my opinion, though.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I do think there was definitely a sexual motivation to this crime. But I also feel that
he couldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very plausible. That's very plausible. It goes on to say that Rowling found the male asleep in the bedroom and killed him after a struggle. Hearing the commotion, Polez went down to the hall to his room and saw Rowling. She attempted to barricade herself in the bedroom, but Rowling broke through the door. He SA'd her before turning her over and stabbing her 3 times in the back. With the exception of Tabadoa, all victims were petite white brunettes with brown eyes, like Rowling's mother.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, that one's weird. I don't think any of these girls resembled Bryan Kohberger's mother. It's weird.
But his mother, I don't know what his relationship, what Rowling's relationship was with his mother. I don't know. Was it like a hate relationship where sometimes these guys like can idolize their moms and like compartmentalize?
I think he hated his mom because she kept going back to his dad.
So he might have seen that as weak.
Well, he would beg her not to because he would beat the crap out of her.
No. Yeah, no.
And so I think he blamed her for his beatings.
So it was like him killing her over and over and over again.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
So the Shreveport murders and the tip about Rowling Don Maines, an investigator with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, traveled to Shreveport in November 90 because similarities between two sets of murders. These included posing of the victims, tape residue on the victim's body, and vinegar used to cleanse the bodies. I saw this and I thought, well, Ann Taylor mentioned something about possible cleanup. Could he have gotten this idea from Rawlings? I don't think it completely worked, but maybe perhaps he could have added to it. Think he could have made it a better something so that he can destroy DNA from the bodies. What do you think?
I would think that being in a criminology or like a criminal justice program, that they did do a lot of work on things that could mess up, just like he was able to erase a lot of his cloud forensics, right? So I do think that he would have looked into ways to, mitigate that. But I also don't know. I don't see him like necessarily putting vinegar in it like a fanny pack. I don't know. Like, I don't think he had enough time. Like, I don't know that I don't know. I don't know that. I think he was more worried about leaving his DNA, but he didn't really touch them. Like, I think he did that in the sense of like putting like multiple layers of gloves and the mask and all that stuff so that he wouldn't. So I feel like that's where he put his mitigation into, was not getting it on him. But I don't know. It could be.
Thank you, Chloe. I got something. I got something. Let me bring it up real quick. That is crazy. What I just got. Oh yeah. Well, I'll show it right now. I gotta send it to myself first, and then download it, and then get it going. So let me do that real quick. I got something pretty crazy.
Sounds crazy.
It's gonna be nuts. Let me
I can't wait to see.
Let me pull this up. This is Bryan Kohberger in jail.
Ew, what is he?
Again. That's a piece of paper. It sounds. Oh, you know what? Can you hear it?
Oh yeah. Is this his room? I'm assuming.
Yeah. So look, he's got his shoes bundled up here. Let's see what we find in his cell. What do we see? His bed is somewhat made. He's got a bag here. He's got his shoes.
I'm making it bigger on my screen so I could see. That's crazy. Good job, Chloe.
The hell is he doing?
He's just staring. He like stares. And then did he like hear something and put his head over? Like,
let me see. Let me pull up the other one real quick.
There's another one. This is crazy.
So this is him cleaning his shoes. He's got, what does he have? He's got a card. He's got some kind of orange, looks like a bracelet, some sort. I'm assuming that's a card. That looks like a remote. He's got his bed, and he's got several towels on either side of his bed. There's wheels on the bed. He's cleaning his shoes.
What's that bag?
I'm not sure what's in the bag, but he's got a pair of white sandals, some orange sandals. He's got some black shoes that he's cleaning.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh, and he looks pretty like organized.
Very, but look at he's gonna start cleaning the bottom of his shoe. Or look at the way he's cleaning it. It's weird.
And why does he have three pairs of shoes? What's up with that?
I don't know.
I guess you could probably buy them maybe on commissary.
What is he looking out of? I wonder what's on the other side. This is a glass here. I'm assuming there's a glass there.
Probably another
what he's looking at.
He's probably trying to hear if they're like what they're saying or if they're talking about him.
Yeah.
Or he's just staring at them like he does. Oh,
is this the new one or the old one? I'm not sure. Some could be shower shoes.
I guess.
Those look like Crocs. Like black Crocs. You can kind of see the Oh, you think those are sneakers? What he's wearing on right now? But his hands look like black Crocs.
His hands look red. He probably is washing his hands a lot.
Yeah.
Like they said. What is he staring at? He is such a creep. And then he's got the cups over here.
Dude, he's freaking weirdo.
Such a weirdo. An organized weirdo.
And then real quick, just let me pull up
it's crazy.
I'll pull up the first one again. That one's a little bit longer.
What a creep.
Oh no, this is the same one. Hey, pull this one out and then pull this one up. That looks like a note or something that he wrote down. Again, he's looking outside.
It's definitely something that he like folded up and put up there. I watched it like on a bigger screen.
He's looking up at the sky, at the ceiling. I wonder if he's trying to figure out a way out.
He is looking up.
Watch, look, he's gonna start looking up. Right there. Looks around. Then he's gonna look back up.
Look how red his hands are.
His hands are red.
Oh, he's checking something out.
He's got all his clothes up here at the top.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of cups, one's for drinking, probably both for drinking.
That's definitely in it. And then he's got the clothes in there too. Like he's got like a bin of clothes. And then he's got toilet paper in the corner.
I wonder what's in this box thing that's caged up. TV screen, maybe?
Oh, I was thinking more clothes. Isn't it funny how he'll wash his hands 1,000 times, but then he'll wipe his ass with that toilet paper on the floor in the corner?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he got the bars are around it. That's for the handicap, ain't it?
I think you have to have them. But yes, it's for like, and for older people, but I think they're like standard.
It could be. I mean, it seems like something somebody could hurt themselves with. But so could this big old box of steel. But he's by himself here.
And he doesn't seem to know that somebody's videoing him.
Freaking weirdo.
Look, he holds his hands like that, right? So I don't know. He's a weirdo. Like, I wonder if his hands hurt. It looks like they do, but he's definitely looking up. Like, he's looking around almost as if, like, he hears noises and he wants to see where it's coming from.
You know, they are saying that they're yelling at him. That's been what's been reported, that he's being yelled at, he's being screamed at, and that they're threatening him, and he's been complaining to the warden and everybody there that his life has gone really bad.
He probably wants to move, like, somewhere else to a different cell or something.
Probably. So this goes on to say that turning off your phone isn't enough. You have to disable your Wi-Fi, disable your cellular, then power down. That's what he did. I mean, that right there is an indication that, and thank you so much, Chloe, for sending me that. If I didn't say that earlier, I apologize. That was amazing. Thank you for getting that. Where did you get that from? Let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know if there's any more.
That was good.
That was amazing stuff. He's cleaning his shoes. Yeah. It's weirdo. But yeah, he did more than just turn off his phone. You know, he did all this as an indication. So for those that are like, oh man, he may have accidentally powered it off when he put it in his pocket or was out of service. Nah, this guy did a lot of steps to turn off his phone. Tremendous amount of steps.
I have a question. What's he cleaning his shoes with?
I don't know.
Like, where'd he get the
Toilet
water
paper?
from? Or the liquid?
Well, I mean, he probably got toilet paper and watered it from the sink thing.
Oh, they have a sink in there? I didn't see the sink.
It's part of the toilet.
That's what I mean. Like, he's so like worried about cleaning his hands in one moment, and then the next minute he's like he could be using something from the toilet. I don't know.
Yeah,
He probably doesn't want to get sick. I feel like he's like into his body, like his body health, not necessarily like cleaning and stuff, but like as far as like, maintaining. But I think once he like started losing weight and stuff, and then he became vegan, I mean, it could just be that that's part of his like routine.
He's supposedly going to get access to a phone, a laptop, and another thing. I mean, not a phone, a computer, and a TV.
I wonder what he's going to watch.
I don't know. Do you think he'd watch the Cobberger channels, or do you think he'd watch the channels that are against him?
No, I think he would watch people like Dr. Mercado and like the people that he thinks is around or that are on the same level. Like, I'm a very small channel, but if he ever heard me saying that I was a colleague of Dr. Ramsland, like that would be like enough. So I think that he would be looking at or people that are like body language experts that maybe he disagrees with so that he could correct the record. So it really depends on what it is. Is he trying to get out a message, or is he trying to correct the record? Because I think either somebody that's like highly educated, or even somebody that's highly educated that he thinks is wrong.
It says he also downloaded reports of the Idaho murders and extensive searches on his victims. The team pointed out that despite law enforcement's hard work, there was a period of time from the time that the crime happened until identifying the arrest, that the phone seized and the phone seizure, and then the phone extraction. So some of the best information was most likely wiped. Even though some of the best stuff wasn't there, he certainly didn't cover all his tracks. One night of the murders, before the phones was turned off, the phone was searching for Wi-Fi signal. He wasn't at home. And then it goes on to say that he had actually connected twice, or at least more than one time, possibly more than once, to the Mad Greek, and that employees at the Mad Greek said that they recognized seeing Cobberger visiting twice, eating vegan pizza. It sounds weird that this comes out, but like Bill Thompson kind of made it seem like, oh, we have no idea where he came from.
He also said that he wasn't stalking. So I feel like there's a lot of things that he says that, you know what I mean?
It's weird.
But I feel like that's where the connection comes in, or at least at first. Yeah. Or the pool party. I'm not sure, but they said nothing about a pool party. So as of right now, I'm thinking.
The only thing about the pool party that happened was that night was the first time that he drove by that house.
Which could have then brought him in the neighborhood of like, when you're hungry, he could have wrote like vegan food near me. And that could have taken like, so we just don't know how it unfolded. But I do think that he was at the Mad Greek, even though the owner said that he wasn't.
Right. Hold on. I'm going to ask where this came from. These videos. Yeah, it was a pretty good one. Let's see. It says that he had been there twice, passively logged into the network. Goes on to say about his relationship with his mother. While Cobberger actively pointed to calculated isolation, one relationship remained steady. His connection with his parents. Starting at 6:13 a.m. the morning of the murders, he's calling and texting his mom and dad nonstop. It was incessant, but it was also one of the only things he did that matched his normal behavior. Even in the weeks leading up to the killings, Cobberger digital communications showed few signs of friends or peer communications. A classmate briefly engaged in a group chat. All other correspondence to who Cobberger called mother, father, and sister. What do you think about the names? Mother, father, and sister. That's what he had them in his phone.
Oh, that's what he had them in his phone?
Yeah, his mother, father, and sister.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know. If anybody's listening and you do that, I don't really mean that you're weird. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like we tend to like say like mom, dad. I don't even think mommy would be better than mother. I don't know. But the fact that these are the people that he keeps going back to says to me, and I don't know if it's one sister or both sisters, but either way, it just says to me that that's like the one constant thing. It's like the one thing that he knows what's going to happen type thing. Like it's consistent as far as his expectations. So it's like a sure thing, I feel like. Yeah,
maybe. I mean, they thought it was weird. It says here, it goes, the moment we start.
It's still weird. I'm just saying for him, it's probably one of the only like constants.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they look at it and they say the moment we started to look at the messaging, it made me think of the Bates Motel, referencing the horror movie Psycho. I mean, it was like Mother and the label Mother. The constant contact with his mom was wild. So he was in constant contact with his mom before the murders.
So I feel like his mom like fuels up like his narcissistic supply. So like I feel like she doesn't hold him accountable. So it's like I bet she would say things like, you know, he didn't do this, like you were saying. She probably was in denial for a while. So to her, even in that one, I don't know where she wrote it, but she wrote like her 27-year-old's going across the country for the first time. He's going to be like, my kid went to college too, but I didn't really like put that out there. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's like a dysfunctional connection there. And I feel like she fills his narcissism. So whenever he needs someone to tell him how great he is, all he has to do is call him.
Yeah, you're probably right there. I mean, that probably is a fuel, you know, both his parents. I think his dad was telling people he was calling his son Dr. Cobberger. That probably made him feel something, maybe. Maybe not, because on December 29th, the day before his arrest, Cobberger began calling and texting his parents obsessively, just as he did the morning of the murders. If his mom didn't answer, he'd call his dad, they said. The same day, Cobberger searched the terms like paranoid, psychopath, and wiretapping.
He looked up paranoid?
Yep. And
I didn't know
psychopath.
that. I knew psychopath because I feel like we've heard that before, but I didn't know that he looked up paranoid.
Well, he looked up psychopath earlier in the year when he was
Yes.
going through college. This is December 29th. He's still looking up the term psychopath. He's no longer in school, so you can't tell me that this is something to do with school.
No, that was more for, in my opinion, like self-diagnosis. But that clearly shows that he was thinking of the paranoia thing. And who knows, the weed could have been something to calm him down, or in his head, like to calm down his paranoia. I'm still stuck on where he got the weed from.
Doesn't the weed make you more paranoid?
I guess it depends.
Wiretapping and
For most
psychopath.
people, it probably makes them more paranoid.
The contact with his mother continued after his arrest. He spent hours on the phone with his mother. Described by prisoners as an effing weirdo, inmates said he would wash his hands dozens of times each day and would spend 45 minutes to an hour in the shower. How they suggested wasn't... What's that?
I didn't know that you could get in the shower for that long.
He's in solitary confinement. Some of those places have a shower in the cell.
That would make sense if there was a shower in the cell. But to get like another guard to watch him for that long, or to make sure that he's not...
No, I don't think he was in like a public shower for 45 minutes and they're like, all right, we're going to hold off everybody else's shower until Cobberger finishes.
That makes sense then. That makes sense. But then that would mean that he has his own like private, not private.
Which
like
that tells me that if that's the case, if he was taking showers at Ada County and he was taking showers in his cell because he had access to it, that tells me that's not there. That's here. That's I wish it would say where it was at, but I would suspect that this isn't Ada County. Then this is his maximum security place because there's no shower in this cell.
No, there's not. I don't even see a sink.
And from what I understand, from what I heard, he only gets to go to the shower once every 2 days now. So I think this is where he's at right now.
Wow.
The power of deduction. That's my
That's
superpower.
crazy. That was a crazy video. That was like
It is. It is. The how they suggest wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't someone who just snapped. This was somebody who planned. He didn't accidentally stumble into this house and commit this heinous crime. It was intentional. I 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Well, this was an interesting show, Dr. Vona.
This was such an
stuff.
interesting show.
A lot of stuff to come out. A lot of things we found out about some of these people, like Danny Rawlings, and some of the comparisons there. You know, I think that the fact that there was a slasher film involved in that,
and
Scream, and I was going to say his sister. How do you think that plays a role?
That's interesting. I mean, his sister wouldn't have known, but I mean, I'm sure that made him further identify with him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking to myself, I was like, I wonder if that his sister being in that movie made him feel a certain way or act a certain way, I guess.
I forgot that wasn't like the movie Scream. That's what makes it weird. Wasn't the movie Scream after him or something? Or is that
That's after Danny Rowland.
Yeah, right. So that's weird, right? The similarities.
Yeah, so many movies, so many K-bar slasher knives. It's insane. Christy Edwards says they don't feel fear mostly. That's why they seek high-risk activities. The adrenaline is the only way they feel anything.
Do you remember when I asked everybody like a long time ago if they would jump out of a plane with a parachute? And then I explained that. She's absolutely right.
Marilyn from the Tarot Clarity says, what was the thing that made him realize he was being watched? Probably the stops that had nothing to do with him.
He was probably already paranoid, and then the little things that he associated or thought could be the cops, he probably did associate them.
Say No to Globalism says, or the family knows the calls are being recorded, which is the reason why they're not talking about the murders or asking about them. I don't know. I mean, to never touch the topic, even if it isn't
that doesn't surprise
innocence.
Me. That doesn't surprise me though, because I feel like they're the type of like, if she's the type that, is filling up his narcissistic tank or whatever, like to her, even if he did do that, it's almost like he does no wrong in her eyes. I don't see it ever coming up. And I think that he could use the excuse that it can't come up because he can't talk about those things because of this, that, and the other. But now that it's over, he could because he pleaded guilty. But that just tells me that this is more superficial.
Mountain Mama came in with $2. That's what got me the information about about what Chloe sent. Thank you so much. She actually responded. Let me see what she said. Okay, good. So yeah, it is from ISMI, sent by somebody that worked there. Interesting.
Thank you.
This goes on to say, Miss 101, the county jail where we live, each cell has showers, so prisoners aren't removed. It's only available to use at certain time for each inmate.
Oh, so they like turn the water off in one.
Yeah, but they have a cell in their, in their cell, a shower in the cell.
Well, if they already have a toilet, I mean, that actually would make sense.
Yeah, so that just told me that the what we were watching was from the Idaho State Maximum Prison. Sharon comes in with $5 super sticker. Thank you so much, guys. You guys rock. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. I want to say also thank you to everybody that has wished me, thoughts and prayers for my father. I appreciate that. He's in the hospital right now. He's got surgery on Tuesday for a quadruple bypass on his heart, and he's in good spirits. They caught it before he had a heart attack, and so he's got that on his side. We just got to hold off till Tuesday, make sure that he stays calm and comfortable, and then we start a long journey from there, or maybe a shorter one. It's usually about 5 months, I guess. There's like 2 months of physical therapy and things like that after the surgery.
Yeah, it's a big one. It is a big one. He's in my prayers, and I have him already. I already called my aunts in South Philly, and they have like novenas or something for him. When under Daniel's dad. So if you could give me his, like off the camera, if you give me his name, that way they could pray for his actual name. But as of right now, they're praying for Daniel's dad.
I appreciate that. It's not too different than my name.
Then there you go.
There you go. Yeah. He's doing good. He's doing good. We had a little scare earlier today. He had a weird episode where he got dizzy, and because they were going to send him. So he lives quite a bit of ways from here. And so they were going to send him home, and then they found out he lived kind of far. So they were like, no, unless, me and my brothers, all of us live here and in San Antonio. And so they're like, unless one of you guys stays locally, then he can go. And they were going to release him today. And just before they were going to come in and release him, he had a weird episode. And so he ended up staying another night. Tomorrow, if there's no more episodes, they're going to let him go to my brother's house he's just down the street from the hospital, and then he's going to go back in on Tuesday. And so it sucks because we just went through this with my grandfather like a few months back. He just had open heart surgery, same thing, bypass. He had a heart attack though, and he had to get taken. They were going to airlift him, but then they're just doing it by an ambulance over here, and he survived. He's still with us, and so it's a long process. It sucks, but
no, you're right. Thank God they got it before he had the heart attack, so that there's less damage and stuff.
Exactly. There's because that was one of the worries. My grandfather actually went into a coma and a bunch of other things. It was very difficult. Very difficult. I feel so bad for my mom because she just saw us with her dad, now her husband, my dad. And so, thoughts and prayers are appreciated.
Tough.
Oh yeah. He is. And I'm proud of him. And I think he's going to do well. And we'll be, I'll be still going live until then. I'll probably be back live tomorrow. And then we'll see you guys then.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh yeah. I got to get preventive screening. My wife's already making me go tomorrow. Because I have issues.
You haven't been there?
I have not. I've gone before, and I've had some issues before in the past, but they've always told me, "Oh, you're fine. It's just like indigestion," which is kind of the same thing that my dad thought was. And so I'm gonna go and get checked up. It's been a while since I've had a checkup, so
that's a good idea.
I'll get checked up.
Better safe than sorry.
100%. Everybody go check out Dr. Vona's channel. Mark has listed it in the live chat.
Thank you, Mark.
Go subscribe, go comment, go do everything.
And I came up with an answer because you always ask me what I'm working on next, and I never know. So,
what are you working on next?
I put together like a little documentary. So my next case is the Mackenzie Shrilla thing. I'm jumping in that not only because, but I have a specialization in marriage and family therapy, and there's some family dynamics in this that are like, whoa. And this semester I'm teaching violence in families, so it all like kind of goes together. But I wrote like a 20-page documentary type thing that I'm gonna put together.
Oh wow, I'm interested. Let me know when it comes out. I'll share it so that everybody can go watch.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Vona. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.